Hello, everyone. Hello, Darrell.
Hello, Daniel.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the 365 Message Center Show, episode 211. And today we're going to be talking about SharePoint navigation switching. So, being able to switch some things in the navigation, we'll talk about that in a little bit. The all new being able to reply to a message in Teams desktop. So being able to actually quote a message you're replying to, that's going to be fun. And then hubs of hubs of hubs. We're going to be talking about SharePoint hubs being associated with other hubs in that rollout coming very, very soon. So it's going to be a really good show, hopefully.
What was that impression, Daniel?
That was what's his face? An old late night show back when it was black and white, precursor to Johnny Carson.
We should do a black and white
really
episode.
good show.
That'd be quite interesting.
We totally
Yeah.
should. Yes.
And
we
then just
totally
highlight colors of certain things that are interesting on the show. No jokes, people.
should. That sounds like a lot
If
of
you
work.
tell me that there's nothing interesting and there shouldn't be anything colored, then you're joking, right?
You are joking because you love this show. You're listening. For those on the video, please hit the subscribe button below. Click the thumb right now, the like thumb, and do a little nudge with your hips onto the bell and make it go ding, ling, ling, so that you get reminders of when we go live. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, please share it and make sure that you are subscribed, but then share it out to the world. Click that share button in your app and let everyone know that you're listening to the show. We'd love that.
Yes.
Speaking of
Show us.
D-roll.
Yeah.
Darrell, first message is a SharePoint message. This is SharePoint Navigation Switcher, MC285021. And while the message title does tell you what it is, it doesn't at first glance. If you just read that, navigation switcher, what? But it is actually switching the navigation for team sites, so modern team sites. This will be rolling out for targeted release beginning mid-September, so now-ish, and be completed by mid-October, and then standard release early November and be completed by late November. So this really is being able to switch your navigation from the traditional vertical navigation that you have on your team sites, your modern team sites we've had almost forever, and switching that to horizontal navigation. And if you switch it to horizontal, then giving you the option to pick whether you want a mega menu, which is all the craze these days, or cascading. Now, one thing I'll call out is that the screenshots in the message they are contradictory. So, meaning the one on the top shows the horizontal selection on the left and the vertical on the right, and then they're switched in the second screenshot. So just that got me a little confused when I was looking for the menu style in that second screenshot. But it says you don't need to do anything for this change. Notify people that this is an option. And I didn't know there was a big cry for this, but or a demand for this to happen. However, I have had clients ask, is there any way we can get rid of that space? They want to use the space, the whole page space. Now, we don't have an example of what that'll look like. But Darrell, will you be using this? Will you be turning off or switching from vertical to horizontal?
I think I've got used to it in communication sites. I quite like having that full width and having more space so that we can put what we want in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
The other.
I don't know if I'd go to mega menu though, because team sites and the content on a team site, most of the team sites I see and involved in, don't have that many menu choices. It's all about putting what you need to on the page to guide people to that content.
See, and this is getting me to my next question. I will mention though, it is something you can actually turn off navigation. You don't even have to select between vertical and horizontal. You can just turn it off and not have any navigation. But that leads me to my next question is does that mean then, if you could turn it off, are you then have to put everything on the page?
Mm,
And I've been trying to train people for many years that you don't put everything on the page. It doesn't have to, none of the content lives there. It's, you're just having views into the content. But if you take away the navigation, then you do have to put everything on the page, or at least navigate to another, have a link to another page that has links to, I mean, it just, it could get hairy, I think. But if you, my opinion is if you have a team site that doesn't have, um, maybe you don't have a lot of content, it has a specific purpose. You're collaborating on some documents and that's it, or whatever, maybe this is perfect. You don't need that
mm.
navigation, right there it is. But if I, I don't foresee people turning this off for sites that has a lot of content, right? Um, and having to put everything on the page. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's happened once. Um, so let's switch, shall we? Maybe to get it switch. Let's switch to Yammer over the next message.
Yeah, this message: restrict Yammer community postings, MC285022. I see this as taking a leaf out of Microsoft Teams book. Teams has channels moderation where you can specify who can and can't post. Well, in a similar fashion, Yammer is bringing that to a whole community. And this really, it's just restricting who can post in the community, but the intention is for people to still be able to reply to those conversations and posts there. So think of it as a community which is more about starting controlled conversations. Maybe it's used for announcements, and you're getting people to discuss those particular topics as they're posted. So this is a feature that is set by network admins to turn the feature on or off for a community. Then community admins are the people with the role who can post new conversations in this type of community, and end users will be able to respond to that conversation thread, but they won't be able to publish their own new posts. So Daniel, do you see this being a useful thing in Yammer communities? Have you seen it being used in Teams successfully?
I have seen it being used in Teams successfully, and I think that done appropriately, it could be very useful. One complaint you can run into with any types of communities in Yammer or channels and Teams is they get um, a little noisy with the wrong messages, with the wrong focus, I guess I should say, and being able to manage that in the appropriate way. There's a time and there's a time and place for everything. There's a place for those kind of where it's a Wild West where everybody's kind of communicating and going back and forth, but then there's others where you really do need to have a place where you don't you don't have that kind of noise going
Mm,
on. It's more focused.
mm. Yeah, I know. I think it's communities and channels in that example where you want to
Mhm.
set a place that is tidier, pure for communications, that
Mhm.
people aren't having to filter through all the noise. So this is
Mhm.
rolling out early October, expected to be fully rolled out by late October, and that's coming to you in Yammer. Daniel,
Yes,
our
sir.
next one is on Azure information. Microsoft, I forget which one is it now.
This is co-authoring on Microsoft information protection. Encrypted documents in Office Desktop is generally available. MC285023. And the reason why Darrell's having some trouble there, and he's getting a laugh there, is in the title, it's talking about Microsoft information protection, but then the service it's labeled as Azure information protection. So for this one, and it's generally available now, so you're going to be able to use this. So any document, that Word, Excel, PowerPoint document that you have encrypted using MIP labels, sensitivity labels, you will be able to now co-author with others while you're working on that document. So the only really requirement that we have here is making sure that you have the latest update to your app to make sure that you can use that it'll have the appropriate updates in the application, so it can use and see that encrypted file and be able to co-author. So I really, and of course, co-authoring, we're using autosave to see those changes, but it really is nice to be able to work on the document together, and then also while keeping it protected, right? You're not having to co-author on a document and then label it, right? It can be done while you're working on it. So love it. And it, again, just requires that you have the latest update to do that.
Good.
That was a quick message.
It was, but it's an important one.
Quick
because
message.
if you're trying to be a secure organization using features like that, but then it takes away the co-authoring capabilities. Yeah.
Yep. So next one is all about that. I mentioned it in the intro about replying to specific messages.
Yeah, reply to specific chat messages in Teams Desktop, MC285886. This is a hotly requested feature for quite some time. It's quite simple really to explain that you reply to a specific message in a chat. Group chat, doesn't seem to be channel-based conversations yet, but the goal really is, and I like it because how many of us have seen our organizations start to really get onto using Teams, and where do they have most of their conversations? Chat and group chat, and they start group chats for all sorts of things, and they loop people in, and there's 10 or 20 different groups, but everything's in the same conversation thread, Daniel. Like, we'll be typing away and someone might change the subject and someone else is talking about something else, and it's all just together, and without this feature it became really confusing.
Very confusing to really keep up with what's going on. What are you saying yes to my question, my first question, or my second question? Are you saying yes to Darrell's question? It's just so being able to reply, I think is going to be a great. And one thing I like about this message is even they know that it's been hotly anticipated, because in the first sentence of this message, users will receive the long-awaited ability to reply. So they know everyone's been waiting for this update.
Yep. Let's see if we can capture a quick look at this from a GIF point of view. GIFs in these messages are kind of useful because they do show us stuff without having to see a video, but you have to kind of wait till it stops. There we go. Message, ellipsis button, reply, takes the quote, and then you send off your reply.
Yep. So it's not threading.
Nope.
It's just quoting a message and then doing that. It's similar. It's not exact to some other tools that do this kind of thing for team chats, but it is very similar. So it's not going to be a thread, but you are going to be able to see what the person is replying to.
Yeah, and okay, let's compare. I know that we do have another tool that we have just talked about, Yammer, which does the same kind of thing, reply to a conversation. But it does one thing which I think would be good to see in Teams as well. I did a little video on this just to explore it for myself, because I wanted to see if this applied to chats within a Teams meeting. And if you think about it, if it's a private Teams meeting, then a chat is just the chat within the meeting is just a big group chat.
Mm-hmm.
But when I reply to a message and it grabs that little quote and it grabs the first 200 characters or so, and I post it, that that conversation that's been quoted doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just literally just text. It's not like in Yammer where I can click on it and go back to the full conversation that I'm replying to get the whole context.
Yeah, and that's what I was meaning. Yammer, there's another tool, Slack, that when you do replies like that, it has a link where you click on the link and it takes you back to that message originally. And so if there's a whole thread conversation, you can just click back and back and back and back and see them. So yeah, it's not going to give you that in this iteration, but it's better than nothing. And I can't wait for it to see them, improve on it in the future.
Yeah. Oh, last thing I'll say as we're finishing this message off, it's will be rolled out mid-September, starting mid-September, and expect to be completed early October. It's actually available in the public preview version of Teams today for Teams desktop. It has been available in Teams mobile for some time. And that's part of the tease, was that we had this ability to do it, but we couldn't do it from desktop where most of us were using it. GCC will also see this in mid-October and be completed early November.
That's right.
All right. Well, Daniel, take us to the Hubba Hubba message.
Yes, this is our headline. New SharePoint Hub-to-Hub Associations, MC285601. And this message, just like the one we just mentioned, this one has been anticipated for a while. Microsoft announced that this was going to happen, but we really hadn't gotten an update in a while. But here we are. This release will allow you to take a SharePoint hub and associate it with another hub. This is targeted release rollout will begin mid-September, so nowish, and be completed by late September. I don't have it yet in my tenant that's targeted, but soon, very soon. And then standard will be rolling out mid-October and be completed by late October. So you have to do this in the SharePoint admin to be able to do this hub association. Now, I want to mention, though, this is not like hubifying a site or adding a site to a hub itself, a non-hub to an hub. When you do that, you get the theme, you can get the permissions, so viewers can see the site that's joining the hub, and you get navigation. You're not getting any of that when you're doing a hub to a hub. All you're getting is search, basically. It's only going to roll up content for you to, for those search components for you. So when you're searching contents, you'll see that breadcrumb path on there. And it will, roll up those connections. You can do this 3 levels of association. So from what this is saying, you can do hub onto a hub onto a hub if you would like. But again, it's just rolling up news. So what scenarios do you see this working with, Darrell?
Well,
being able to associate hubs to hubs.
Yeah, you actually said it. News is a perfect example. We see that as a big advantage today with hub sites, and that news can bubble up and be used within web parts and within search. But yeah, I think search in general is going to benefit from this. Like, I can imagine a hub site, which is the top level site for most corporate bits and pieces, and then other hubs that are joined to that. It means that you'll be able to search from that hub right the way down and get all that association within your search results.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be some people that are disappointed with not getting some of those other attributes,
Right.
But I think meaning the navigation and the branding, but I think really the purpose here is, if you think about how you can really manage your hubs in having, let's do it by geography. If you have a hub for your operations in the U.S. for and you for maybe HR hub, right? But then maybe you want to have a global HR hub, and so all of your HR hubs from your APAC and from the Americas, having those associated so that the news goes up. You're able to do search, but you can still keep your own look, right? You can still keep your own identity as a hub, as the hub where you have your own navigation and your own look and feel. I I think this isn't a something that's going to. There's going to be some people that say, well, I really want those other things, and then there's going to be people say that I would never want those things, right? So this is what it is,
Yep.
and I, for one, am okay with that. I'm sure if there is something that comes along and says, hey, it would be really nice to, things like security, for instance, the way that it would be nice to do that. And people let Microsoft know, then maybe that'll be included in the future. But for right now, that's what it's all about. So coming this month, September, for those in targeted, and then October for those in standard.
Good.
All right. Darrell.
Yeah.
I want to join anonymously. Tell me how to do that.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought when I first read this message and then read a little closer. Join meetings anonymously from Teams desktop app across clouds. It's in brackets, but that's a crucial part to this message and capability. MC285905. Let's clarify this. Right, so you join a Teams meeting today that you have organized in your organization, and it will open up in Teams. A lot of us are using commercial tenants, or what this message calls a standard tenant. There's other types of tenants as well: GCC, GCC High, DoD. So these are tenants or clouds that Microsoft deliberately keeps separately for security purposes. And this update gives you the ability to join a meeting that's hosted in one of those separate clouds from the Teams desktop app, and do it anonymously. So, I mean, it's an advantage, and I can't speak to the frustrations or limitations that GCC and GCC High DoD feel and experience. So maybe this is quite a significant thing. I think, and I also don't really know about why it's about necessarily being anonymous. Daniel, do you know, is it that when you go to join a meeting and it's hosted in a different cloud, that because it's a almost entirely separate security infrastructure, that the authentication doesn't carry through to that separate cloud?
Yeah, I think that's what is happening, and it mentions it even here, is that you have to use the web now and not the desktop. So I think the authentication gets hung up. I will say I've only heard about the issue. I've never seen it. I've never had this experience of trying to join a meeting in a GCC High environment, for instance. But I know there are some people who listen to our show that do that exact thing and have some experience with this. So please throw that in the chat, and we'd love to hear your comments and have conversation, whether it's here live, if you're watching the show live, or after the show airs. Throw it in the comments. We'd love to hear your experiences on this as well.
Yeah, I can only imagine the frustration of, you get invited to these meetings, you're cutting over to maybe talk. Maybe you're based in GCC, but your consultancy that looks after your tenants is based in standard. I was looking for commercial standard tenant. So there's always that cutting over that's a bit of an issue. But at least you can stay signed in, and as you cut over, you're attending that meeting anonymously. There's not much more that we can add to it, but glad to hear that it's going to add some convenience for our other cloud-based friends.
Yes.
Let's finish off, Daniel, with that one quick mention.
Yes, this is OneDrive, new command bar, MC285602. Targeted release will be rolling out mid-September, so nowish, and expect to be completed by late September, standard, late September to early October. And so this one is pretty simple. It is a switching, they're basically, they are simplifying the OneDrive command bar. And I don't like it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't like it at all. So they're taking the words out and just giving you icons.
Yep.
And they're taking some of the commands out. And I'm assuming hiding them under an ellipse, those 3 dots. So you're going to have to do extra clicks to get to the commands that you would normally have available to you. They are giving you the name of the document there, which is slick. Love it. But why can't you just put the name of the document up there and leave this other stuff the way it is? This is supposed to be a quick mention, so I guess I'm not supposed to complain, but I'm not loving it. I'm just really not liking it. I think there's plenty of room there to keep the icons for the other stuff up there so I can actually click on it. One thing is there's now a search button that hasn't been there, so not entirely sure if what that's going to search. Are you searching within the document, or is this searching inside OneDrive while you're viewing a document? We don't know yet. We don't have very much information on this update, but that's what it is, and it's coming soon. And if you love it, then fantastic. Leave us a comment below and tell us why you love this update. If you hate it, then here's something you can do about it. You can leave us a comment below about why you hate it, and we'd love to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, like we'll take it to the development crew and they'll do something about it. No.
Yeah. So maybe not, but that's what that message is. Yep. I'm not a huge fan, Darrell.
I like it. I like it. I like that there is more space. Yeah. I wonder about those those paging buttons of previous and next. Those are buttons that if you were, say, in a image library, for example, and you're rifling through and trying to see that next thing, those are quite useful. I don't know if that still works, whether it's a shortcut key that no longer needs a button, but it'll still work. I don't know. Yeah.
Look at you making assumptions. Aren't you cute?
It's fun. Yes.
Wait, so I didn't even scroll over. Let's see what the other. So yeah, it's got those.
Yeah.
And over on the right hand side, I did scroll over, but it does have those on the right hand side there so you can go back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Still.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's one of those screenshots.
Yes, one of those. But I still don't. Again, I don't like removing. I mean, copy to, version history. Why can't I delete that? I mean, why can't I see these things? Why can't I print?
It's about telemetry, my friends. They clearly didn't see many clicks on those buttons, so they thought they'd hide them under that ellipsis.
You want to know a secret about oh, maybe I can. Yes, I can. Secret about telemetry is some of the stuff they don't capture in telemetry, so they really don't know. I'm not saying this specifically for this. I'm not saying that, but there's some things that are just not captured, and sometimes guesses are made. But for me, they are not keeping track of my telemetry because they know that they would have known I would click those buttons.
All the time. Yeah, and look, and that's only the view when we have the document open.
Sure.
So if you close the document, maybe you can select it in the library view and still have some of those buttons.
Maybe.
Look at me making assumptions again. We should probably finish before I make too many assumptions. Let's just assume that you enjoyed the show, everyone. You know what to do. You know where the buttons are. So click, like, subscribe, etc. We'll assume that we'll see you back here next week. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
We'll assume...
And hit us up on the socials.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
We're going to assume you're going to do that.
Yep.
We're everywhere as 365 MCS. So Twitter, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta. Hit us up.
What do we type in? What do we put on Insta?
People should go find out.
I should go find out. What are you taking, like best shots or something and trying to, like is that what the blooper roll is?
Go find
I'll
out.
go find out. Anyway, see you again next week, people. Bye.